Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause the times is the man of truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to the man
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to the man.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad to be back. Took a little time off. I needed a little bit of a refresher, get my head together on some things, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm back. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go. On with the show. Today is the 7th of December, 2015. We are getting close to the end of yet another year, 2015, on the Gregorian calendar, coming to an end. Coming to an end. So what do we got today? Well, we are in a new sun sign, and our moon sign has just made a transition as well. So let's start with our sun sign. We've got two lights in the sky. We have the sun and we have the moon. The sun and the moon represent our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. These are both very important aspects of who we are. The conscious mind is how we see the world, what we are consciously aware of in our reality. The unconscious mind is what is beneath the surface, what goes on underneath the reality that we're dealing with. We usually deal with our unconscious mind when we're in a dream state, when we're in meditation. Where conscious mind is when we're moving around in the world. These two need to work together. They need to work together because that is how we operate in the world. So this first card that I'm going to show you, the card of Sagittarius, where we are now, is represented by the Angel of Temperance. And the Angel of Temperance we could see has one foot on land and one on water. One in the conscious mind, one in the unconscious realm. It's very important that we understand, because all these lights work together. God made the sun, God made the moon, the lights in the sky. So we can't ignore one and say we're only going to pay attention to one of the lights that God made. We need to pay attention to all of the lights, because both lights illuminate different aspects of who we are. The lights that are on the outside illuminate the world around us so we can see where we're going. The lights inside the subconscious illuminate the world within so we also know where we're going. But it illuminates the desires, the needs, the feelings, the things that are inside of us that we don't normally see with our two eyes. Therefore, we have to look inside with that inner eye, that inner vision, so we see the inner lights in the subconscious realm. So when we deal with both the conscious and the unconscious realms, what we find is we need to be in touch with our higher self, because our higher self helps us to maintain the balance between the two. This card, Sagittarius, is represented by fire. Ideas. Okay, ideas come when we are in balance. Everything about this card is in balance. Everything is in temperance. It's temperate with each other. Now, this is our moon sign, our sun sign, our conscious mind that we're dealing with. It's also the sign of truthfulness. Jupiter is the planet that reigns over the astrological sign of Sagittarius. So Jupiter expands everything. So we have an expansion of our higher self, expansion of the angel part of who we are, an expansion of the desire to want to have truthfulness in the world. Now the moon sign, which moves underneath and continually moving, is showing us what is being illuminated on the inside. What are our needs that we need to have fulfilled at that moment? Each one of us on an astrological chart, we look at our sun sign. We also look at our moon signs because they represent the wholeness of who we are. There are many other planets involved, but these are the two bright lights that we pay attention to the most. The tarot card of death, which you're well familiar with, represents the moon where we are right now. We just moved into Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign dealing with emotions. Emotions, when they get really heavy, can feel very death-like. It feels like the process of death is going on because our emotions have been attacked. However, when we look at this, what we have is a sign that represents something very, very deep down in the water that eventually rises to the surface. Now, sometimes when things are very buried very deep, we don't always know what they are until they come to the surface, and they can be quite a shock at times. Sometimes we look at them and they seem rather dark, simply because they've been away from the light. They've been furthest away, and so as they come forward into the light, there's often a surprise, a change, a death. Death simply means a transition. All of the signs here, all of the images, are all about making a transition from one form or phase to another. It's not about a physical death at all. It's about a death that is taking place in an emotional level. So when we look at the chart for today, we've just gone into this new sign of Scorpio as our moon sign. So our unconscious mind is looking for and needs to find a way to express the transition that it's going through. There may be some emotions involved with that. As we move forward into the day, 11:25 a.m., we see that Scorpio is going to be in a conjunction with Venus. Conjunction meaning right next to each other. I like to think of them very simply as you look at all of these are houses, 12 houses. So in one particular house, we're going to have the two signs right next to each other. Okay, and the conjunction here, let me go back. The conjunction is between the moon and Venus. So if we look here, find out where the moon and Venus are, they're right here. So both of them are together in this house, hanging out right next to each other, having a conversation. So the moon, with its aspect, or with it being in Scorpio, is talking to Venus, imagination, that's also in Scorpio. And they're finding a way to maybe express this imagination through the unconscious realms, or how these two are feeling and affected by each other. And so that's the way to look at these particular signs. So as you look at them, just understand there's a conversation going on. All aspects of who we are able to communicate with all other aspects of who we are at any given time. That's the principle of correspondence that we get from the Kabbalion, that every aspect, small, can relate to the biggest aspect. And so if we remain in communication with ourselves at all times, then we find ourselves moving through life more effectively because we know where we're going, we know what we're doing. Okay? Now, if we look at the other aspects here coming up tonight, 7:40 p.m., we have a trine. A trine is a good positive aspect going on, good positive vibes between these signs. The moon sign Scorpio, and here is Neptune. Neptune it's like a trident, the trident of Poseidon. What it represents is looking at things from a new perspective. Looking at things from a new perspective, because oftentimes when our emotions build up, we get caught up in the process of death. We think, oh, it's the end of the world because our emotions are there. We flip things around, we look at things from a new perspective, we realize it's not the be-all, end-all of everything. It's just a change that is taking place, something that needed to happen, something that was in us that needed to be processed. Because if we realize, as we do, that we are physical bodies holding a lot of energy, our bodies sometimes need to release energy, process energy, so that we can move through the world. If we get all bottled up, we end up exploding within, and that affects how we are on the outside. So we have to continually maintain this releasing of pressure that builds up, and the way we do it is just being in communication with ourselves so that we know what's off, what needs to be corrected. And oftentimes it's something very simple. Oftentimes the blockages come because we're trying to deny some part of ourself that is there, and the moment we accept and understand, everything's better. So with this, looking at things from a new perspective here, it helps us to understand that things aren't always as they appear to be. things aren't always as they appear to be, and then we start to find a bit more clarity in what's going on. Okay, over on the Jewish calendar, today is the 25th day of Kislev, and we could see that the year 5776 is different than the Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar is all based upon, we started the count 2000 some odd years ago, when after Jesus had died, and then we begin to count again, or after he not died, but after he came to earth, and then we began to count there. Whereas the Jewish calendar just continues all the way back 5,776 years ago and continues on. So that's the big difference in what these date counts. There's something, it's more specific and more detailed. You can read about that. That's the general idea. So today also is the very first day of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is one of the Jewish festivals on the calendar, and it's an 8-day festival. It's called the Festival of Lights. It began in the evening time last evening, and it will continue on all the way through to the 14th. Okay, now if we look at a little bit of what this is all about, Hanukkah, the 8-day Festival of Lights, begins on the eve of the 25th of the Jewish month of Kislev, and it celebrates the triumph of light over darkness, of purity over adulteration, of spirituality over materiality. More than 21 centuries ago, the Holy Land was ruled by Secludius, Syrians and Greeks, who sought to forcefully Hellenize the people of Israel. Against all odds, a small band of faithful Jews defeated one of the mightiest armies on earth. They drove the Greeks from the land, they reclaimed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and rededicated it to the service of God. But when they sought to light the temple menorah, which is the 7-branch candelabrum, they found only a single cruse of olive oil that had escaped contamination by the Greeks. Miraculously, the 1-day supply burned for 8 days until the new oil could be prepared under conditions of ritual purity. To commemorate and publicize these miracles, the sages instituted the festival of Hanukkah. At the heart of the festival is the nightly menorah, which is the lighting of a candle, a single flame on the first night, 2 on the second, and so on till the 8th night of Hanukkah, when all 8 lights are kindled. So, if we think about this, it is about faith. Because there was a time, just as we are going through struggles right now in the world, where we have larger groups trying to conquer smaller groups, this is exactly what was going on back then. And Israel had been captured, there had been fighting, and now they had just reclaimed, and part of their ceremonies were to have these candles burning every single day. But when they didn't have that, and they were able to maintain this one, they saw this as something very miraculous, something that was a sign from God that they were moving in the right direction to reclaim that which was theirs. And so the idea of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, is to remind us that light is always present, faith is always available to us, and God is always shining in our lives. We just have to be able to see where that is. Sometimes we need to take a new perspective on things because we get caught up in life and then we forget what's going on. And it's very easy to get caught up in life. We go through the day, we turn on the television, we hear the news, we listen to the radio. Wherever we go, we have all of these worldly events which are taking place, and the worldly events don't often delve into what's taking place on a spiritual level. Can you remember the last time you turned on the TV and saw one of the news shows taking time out from all of the disasters and tragedies of the world to talk about your spiritual growth? They don't do that. It's not what they're about. The physical world is about the physical world. But we are reminded over and over and over again that we live in a spiritual world. We are spiritual beings in this physical world. The physical world is a byproduct of all that came before it from the spiritual. And we need to keep reminding ourselves so we're not caught up in that illusion that what we have here is all that there is. Because if we do that, we're missing a big piece of the puzzle. So here is our daily thought for today. First day of Hanukkah. It's called the power of light. We all know the power of darkness. It is in everyday news. 1,000 lines over is the power of light. 1,000 times over is the power of light. A busy person shopping to do an act of kindness. A small child reaching up to kiss the mezuzah on the door of her room. A flickering candle for Shabbat or Hanukkah. Each of these are bursts of light in the nighttime sky. True, they rarely appear in the daily news, but the darkness of yesterday's news will pass like the shadows of clouds on a windy day. Light endures forever, accumulating with every flash until no room is left for the darkness to hide. On the Dreamspell Oracle, today is the beginning of a new wave spell. So it's a theme. The theme is the star, shining bright the light, shining that which is within us. So look how the synchronicity of things that are lining up here. So for these next 13 days, we're going to be shining as the star, shining bright. The phrase for today is I unify in order to beautify, attracting art. I seal the store of elegance with the magnetic tone of purpose. I am guided by my own power doubled. So we have the star, guided by the star. The hidden power is the skywalker, the exploration ability we have within us. Our challenge for today is looking in the mirror, seeing that reflection. Sometimes that reflection reminds us of that which is buried deep, so we take a new perspective. And here we have the monkey, which is the like-minded energy today of playfulness, of magic, understanding that everything are not how they appear to be. Sometimes things are different, and we just need to look at things from a different perspective. The moon phase is a waning moon, which means we're going back down to a new moon. We're almost there, just a sliver to go, only 13% of the way. Space weather, our solar wind is currently at 648.1 kilometers per second. Our planetary K-index is quiet at the moment. We've got a 3 going up to a 4 over the next 24 to 48 hours. There's been this large coronal hole that's been opening up in the sun. It looks a little bit more closed than it had been. These things will definitely be sending solar wind down to the planet, which we will be feeling over the course of this week. M-class possibility is just at 5%. X-class is 1. So we're not going to be seeing much flares at the moment. However, the geomagnetic storm activity, the energy around us, is moving. It's 35% active in the mid-latitudes. In the high latitudes, it's up as high as 55%. So energies around us is moving. Nothing is still. And finally, looking up at the sky this week from the 4th to the 12th, we have the moon occultant Venus in broad daylight. For essentially all of North and Central America, the moon is in the waning crescent about 43 degrees west of the sun. Venus will disappear behind the sun limb, which has a much dimmer surface, brighter than Venus does. Venus will reappear behind the moon dark limb up to an hour or more later. This occultation happens in the middle of the day for the east, and in the morning for the west. In Alaska, it happens at pre-dawn. Okay? So when we're looking in the sky, this is what we're going to be seeing right here. And it uses the word occultation. Remember, occult just means that which is hidden. So for a while, something is going to be hidden and then been revealed. All right? And that is what's going on to get us started here today. Our cosmic weather. That means UFO news is up next. Let's do it.
It's time for the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right. Here we go. Today's UFO news. First story has to do with the UFO sighting that took place over Los Angeles. Now, what I find interesting, no, it's not this dog. This is just a commercial or a ad. That would be weird. That's like the dog star if we saw that, right? But these are the jokes, folks. Okay, so this was seen over Los Angeles. The reason I want to show you this is because there's a couple others you're going to see which are very similar. Okay, this was over LA on the 5th of December. Okay, now I'm going to jump from there. Let me leave it at a better spot here. You can see it, but it's nice, bright, round circle, kind of has a greenish color to it. Okay. All right, there it is. Now, this one here looks very similar, doesn't it? That one, and then this one. This one was seen over Guadalajara the day before. So, if you watch this clip, you will see some perspective on how far away the UFO is actually from the ground. So I think it's pretty interesting that we've got two that are very similar, and these don't appear in any way, shape, or form to be a lens flare. Okay, so we have this one here over Guadalajara. We have this one over here over Los Angeles the day after. And at the end of last month, we also had this one here, and this one was over Canada, and it looks kind of the same, doesn't it? Okay, this was, they say they spotted this one from their bedroom November 29th. Thought it was a helicopter, wasn't moving in any particular direction. This was over Surrey, Canada. So, we've got that, we've got that, and we've got that. When I look at these, I look at three objects that look kind of similar. So, do we have the same, is this the same thing? Or are these all part of the same group that is just out monitoring the world, and these are just places that they happen to be captured at that particular time? I don't know. But I'm just saying that they look similar to me. What do you think? Do they look similar to you? And if so, maybe it's some importance that we are aware that this thing is all around the place. I mean, it's not surprising that these things get around so much. All right, let's look at the next one here. This next one is different. This is over Honolulu. This next one I'm going to show you, it's a fleet of them here. And this took place at the end of last month, actually a couple in October. And we see a whole fleet, 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. New UFO images and videos come out almost every day over the internet for everyone to interpret. Here's one that makes you believe, at first glance, that a video captured a fleet of alien orbs maneuvering oddly somewhere near Honolulu. Earth and Space News YouTube channel posted a video October 21st which shows these UFOs hovering, moving fast, darting back and forth, merging with each other, blinking in and out in unison. While the video appears to show an unusual catch of strange lights in the sky, it has been hounded with credibility issues. First, the exact date and time of the video and the videographers identified are not revealed. No information could help any research about the sighting in the video. Moreover, the video itself has many visual problems. According to Ben Hansen, ex-lead investigator of facts or faked, the video is a product of computer-generated imagery. Now, that's certainly something we need to be aware of these days, because in addition to the lens flares that do occur, we also have the ability with technology and computers, and everyone can get the software that wants to be able to do such things. So it kind of throws a monkey wrench into all of the research. So when we look, we have to really look with a discerning eye, and sometimes the CGI effects are pretty good, and you really have to look close. So is this CGI, or is this really what it is, which is a series of lights up in the sky? Let's see what he says. He said Hansen points out several liability in different segments of the video. He says that at the 26-second mark, the orb to the far left of the screen takes a short jog back and forth that didn't appear it was intended. He stresses that this happens throughout the video, suggests that this seems to be evidence of poor anchoring of the object to a fixed reference point. And he goes on. There's more here. I'm going to leave you to read that. I wanted to bring this up simply as an example of we can't take everything at face value just because we see it in the sky. Remember, Project Bluebeam, it's a project that is designed to fake us out. Well, Project Bluebeam isn't the only thing trying to fake us out. There are a lot of debunkers. There are a lot of those who are just jokers that are doing things. So it makes it really challenging to know what's going on. We do know that there are things taking place in the sky. The three I showed you in Guadalajara in Canada and in Los Angeles are examples of that we see around the world. This one could be real, it could be not. Again, we have to use our discernment at all times and not get so caught up. Yeah, just because we see these lights in the sky, I don't think we need to get caught up anyway, no matter what it is, because the big concern is usually, are they going to attack? That's what we have as a worry down here on Earth. Is whatever is out there going to attack us and kill us? And that fear is put out in a variety of ways. It's put out through the media. It's put out by leaders who want to maintain this military presence to be able to fend off any issues. Is there a war going on? Quite possible there's a space battle going on. But do we have those who are looking out for us? Absolutely. And if there was an extraterrestrial race that wanted to wipe us out, guess what? We wouldn't be here right now. Because the technology that exists with these extraterrestrial crafts that we see, these otherworldly crafts, they would have the technology to have taken us out a long time ago, yet we are still here. Since we are still here, it's obviously not the intention to do so, because why would you allow a civilization that you're going to attack, why would you allow them to build up a stockpile of weapons to fight against you? It makes no sense at all. If you were a conquering race, you go in, you conquer, you move on. So there's something more than meets the eye with the whole story of the extraterrestrials which is taking place, which is why we need to look at things from a discerning sense to know if somebody is trying to fool us and make us think that's the case, or whether or not what we are seeing is real and what we are seeing is somebody observing us, watching what's going on, seeing how our world is moving about on a regular basis. Okay. Now here's one that's quite interesting. I don't know what to make of this. This, at first glance, looks really kind of fake, but you never know. This was over Bridgewater, New Jersey. It was back in October. Kind of looks like a giant shark in the sky, huh? It's Sharknado. That's what it is. Sharknado is real. All right, this is odd, but as I've said before, most UFOs are visible during the sunset. What I mean is the cloak becomes vulnerable to the angle of the sun and the Earth's atmosphere bending the light. All right. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting. And one last piece here, one UFO story for today. We've heard about the Black Knight satellite up in the sky, and this happens to be a trailer that was done, a movie trailer done by Pepsi about this. So the subject itself isn't lost upon them. There we see the Dark Knight satellites are real for sure. I found these objects in close-up photos a few years ago on the NASA site, and since then NASA has been deleting them and moving them, playing a game of hide-and-seek with them every time I post them. At first I thought they were orbiting Mars, but many readers say it's Earth they are orbiting. You want to see the real Dark Knight satellites and NASA photos? And here's a bunch of them right here if we want to click. Let's maybe click on one, see what we get. Okay. I don't see anything there, so anyway. Global short film with footage shot from outer space of the United at the UR-CAST camera on the International Space Station, Black Knight decoded. Okay, anyway, I'm going to leave this for you. I'm going to leave this for you to watch. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And that's it. All right, that's our UFO news for today. I'm going to be back momentarily. We're going to get things started off here with, how about if we start things off with Great Spirit? If I can see it. There it is. All right, and I'll be back, and we shall continue on momentarily.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great Spirit, send down your love, send down
There we go. I got to turn the microphone on for you to hear. How about that, huh? What a concept, turning on the microphone. All right. So, where do we go from here? I have been doing lots and lots and lots of thinking and contemplation about where to go from here. When you turn on the news today, or any day, we're hit by tons of negativity. There was a shooting here, there was shooting over there, these people were fighting over there, this is happening here, these people are stealing this, blah, 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 blah. And I could go and I could show you all of these things and I could point these out. But really, what's the point of all of that? Because it seems to me that there's bigger fish to fry, so to speak. Seems to me that all signs are pointing to us being at a very significant time in life. A time when, as the book of Revelations referred to, we are at the end of days, which means we are about to begin a new cycle. So when we close out this cycle, the question is, how are we going to close out this cycle? Are we going to close out this cycle in fear? Or are we going to close out this cycle with hope? I choose to go the path of hope because I believe that good times are really ahead of us. I believe that all of the negativity that is in the world is simply trying to keep us chained to an illusion that is quickly dissipating. So rather than dwelling upon all of the negativity that's in the world and talking about all of the various, problems and problem makers there are, I thought we'd focus on the spiritual instead. So today I'm going to begin a daily routine here until we get through this, the book of Psalms. Because the book of Psalms are prayers and songs all about God. Let me read a little bit about what the book of Psalms is. This comes to us from Shabbat.org. King David and the Psalms. Not as a great warrior or a mighty king did David win the everlasting love of our people, and indeed of all the peoples on earth, but as the author of the book of Psalms, the sweetest poetry of Israel. King David was a link in the continued transmission of the Torah. Being the spiritual successor to the prophet Samuel, he surrounded himself with a group of prophets and scholars, and together they studied the Torah. He thought of nothing of the comforts of life that his regal palace could offer him, and unlike other kings, he would rise before the sun to pray and chant psalms of praise to God, the King of all kings. The psalms are hymns of praise to the Almighty God, creator of the universe. They speak of God's greatness, his goodness and mercy, his power and his justice. David pours out his heart in these psalms and avows his sincerest and purest trust in God alone. Many of the psalms are prayers and supplications to God which King David prayed in times of trouble. Some psalms contain good advice, showing the way of true happiness through virtue and fulfillment of God's commandments. Thus the psalms reflect all of the varied incidents that can happen in life, both to the individual and the whole Jewish nation. Indeed, in the history of David, his exile, persecution, struggles, and eventual triumph, the Jewish people, collectively and individually, find an example and prophecy of their own life. No wonder the book of Psalms has throughout the ages served as a boundless source of inspiration, courage, and hope. Not all psalms were composed by King David. Some were composed by Adam, Shem, Abraham, Moses, and others. King David collected them all and added the psalms of his own, which he composed by divine inspiration. The book of Psalms is divided into 5 parts, parallel to the 5 books of Moses. It is further subdivided into 7 parts, one for each day of the week, and further divided into 30 divisions for each day of the month. Many Jews make a habit of saying a portion of the Psalms every day after the morning prayers, thus completing all of the Psalms in the course of a week or a month. So we see some significance here. Very important. So I'm going to begin with Psalm number 1. I'm over here at the Bible Gateway, and I'm just going to use the King James Version simply because there's no rhyme or reason. Different versions have maybe a word or two here is different, but they're generally the same. Okay, so we're going to start here because we need to fill our lives with the hope and the positivity and the remembrance that this light that shines so brightly in our lives comes to us from the great Creator. And all of this darkness and illusion that is taking place, that is happening in the world of man. So we could either be caught up in the world of man, the world of the darkness, or we can put ourselves where we need to be in the world of God and experience the lightness of life, the lightness of God, the lightness of truth. So let us begin with Psalm number 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall also not wither, and whatsoever he doth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Psalm 2. Why do the heathens rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord, and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the utmost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them into places like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. Let's go on to Psalm 3. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, There is no help for him in God, Selah. But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill, Selah. I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God. For thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon thy cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. The blessing is upon thy people. Selah. 4. Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me, and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will you turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity, and seek after leasing? Selah. But know that the Lord hath set him apart that is godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call unto him. Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed, and be still. Selah. Offer the sacrifice of righteousness, and put your trust in the Lord. There be many that say, Who will show us any good? Lord, lift up thy light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. 5. Give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for unto thee will I pray. My voice shall hear thou in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct my prayer unto thee, and I will look up. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and the deceitful man. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear I will worship toward the holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Destroy thou them, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out in the multitude of the transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, Lord, will bless the righteous. Wilt thou compass him as with a shield. 6. O Lord, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me nor in thy hot displeasure. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are vexed. My soul is also sore vexed. But thou, O Lord, how long? Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave who shall give thee thanks? I am weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Mine eye is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all mine enemies. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for the Lord hath heard the voice of my weeping. The Lord hath heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Let all mine enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed suddenly. And 7. O Lord my God, in thee do I put my trust. Save me from all of them that persecute me, and deliver me, lest he tear my soul like a lion, rending it in pieces, while there is none to deliver. O Lord my God, if I have done this, if there be iniquity in my hands, if I have rewarded evil unto him that was at peace with me, yea, I have delivered him that without cause is mine enemy. Let the enemy persecute my soul and take it, yea, let him tread down my life upon the earth, and lay mine honor in the dust. Selah. Arise, O Lord, in thine anger. Lift up thyself because of the rage of mine enemies, and awaken for me to the judgment that thou hast commanded. So shall the congregation of people compass about thee. For their sakes, therefore, return thou on high. The Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, and according to mine integrity that is in me. O let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. My defense is of God, which saveth the upright in heart. God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow and made it ready. He hath also prepared for him the instrument of death. He ordaineth his arrows against the persecutors. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit, and dig it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pet. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. And there we have it, Psalms 1 through 7. They really remind us of something much bigger than who we are. They remind us that there is someone out there looking out for us. So in all times of trial and tribulation that are going on in the world, We can either get caught up in all of the stories that are being told, the rumors and the wars and the lies and deceit, or can remember where we come from, that we come from the great Creator. And if we turn our hearts and our minds to remembering that, if we turn away from being caught up in this illusionary world here, we have opportunities to really grow and expand. Because we are in this world for a reason. It's not by chance that we're here. If God didn't want us to be in this world, we wouldn't be here. So there is a purpose. And the purpose is to bring goodness to the world, to bring God to the world. And we look around, we see that God has been removed, and there are many who are trying to remove God on a daily basis and continually bringing in the darkness. We just need to stand strong. That's all. Stand strong, be faithful, and we'll be amazed with all that goes on in our worlds. Here's an article from In5D. It says 14 unique symptoms of a spiritual awakening by Andrea Schulman. Have you experienced any symptoms of a spiritual awakening? Chances are, if you are reading this article, the answer is yes. A spiritual awakening is an ongoing process whereby a person becomes aware of their connection to the infinite and becomes mindful of their spiritual nature. As spirits, we are eternal in nature. However, when we are born into these bodies, many of us forget our spiritual nature. We are often raised believing that we are disconnected from one another and that this life is our only existence. When someone experiences a spiritual awakening, they become aware of their spiritual nature and begin to understand that they are indeed connected and as eternal beings. As a result, they will often experience some specific symptoms of a spiritual awakening. Please note that not all people who experience a spiritual awakening will experience each of the following signs and symptoms, but they will probably experience at least a handful of them. We each experience our spiritual awakenings differently, and we each have different sensitivities. So here's 14 different symptoms, as it's called. One is an increased interest in metaphysical subjects and the paranormal. Second, religious interest. Third, unusual sensations in our crown chakra. Fourth, ringing in the ears. 5, vertigo. 6, increased chills or shivers not due to illness. 7, taking things less seriously. 8, increased empathy and compassion. 9, receiving the 1111 call with regularity. 10, regular instances of synchronicity. 11, accepting death. 12, an interest in activities that foster a mind-spirit connection. 13, receiving messages and understandings, what they are. And 14, experiencing oneness. So this is a good list of symptoms. A lot of times in the world, we're looking to find answers for why we feel the way that we feel. Sometimes we want to attribute it to a physical illness that might be taking place, and this article certainly lets us see that that's not the case, that there are other things other than illness which we may be feeling. Some of it is growing pains. And with growing pains, we oftentimes are confused and misunderstand. So if we understand that what we're experiencing is not just a growing pain, not just an illness, but perhaps a growing pain as we are expanding, then we start to see things a little bit differently. All right, here's a message for today. It comes to us from the angels. Here we go.
The Angels.
December 5th, 2015, by Ann Albers.
The Angels.
My dear friends, we love you so very much. Celebrate the season. It is a beautiful time upon your planet Earth during the holidays, when the vibration of love becomes so much stronger. You think about those you love. You plan to share with those you love. You dream of times that you loved. And some of you even love by missing those you love who are with you now only in spirit. In any case, dear ones, it is also a time to love yourselves. It is very important that, as the year comes to a close, you treat yourselves with kindness. As you gift others, make the gifting process an act of love for yourself. Buy your gifts when you are feeling the love. Get only what is within your means, and if nothing is within your means, share your heart. Share sentiments of love. Share kindnesses, gifts, talents. Giving stuff is fine if you enjoy it, and if it is truly an act of love, but if not, it is better to live honestly. Give presents with your presence this year, or better yet, share the presence of your own spirit all year long. For you, dear ones, are a gift to those you love. Your bright spirit is irreplaceable, unique, precious, special in every way. There is no one else on earth exactly like you. Strive, as you go throughout your holidays, and throughout your life, to avoid comparisons. It doesn't matter if you give a gift as expensive as one given to you. It doesn't matter if you give a gift to someone who gifts you. It doesn't matter if you send all those cards, or bake all those cookies, unless you feel that it is also an act of love for yourself and for the receivers. For gifts given in love are true presents. Cards sent with authentic sentiment have a lovely resonance when they are received. Treats baked or things built with love convey a beautiful energy. Give love this holiday season, no matter what you choose to carry its energy to the receiver. And dear ones, give to yourselves first. Give yourselves a few minutes a day to sit in peace, breathe, and receive our love and assistance. Give yourself the gift of self-care. Give yourself the gift of kindness to yourselves, and then the light will rise up within you and gift the world. God bless you. We love you so very much. The Angels.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Nice message for the holidays, things to remember. Here is the message for today. We're at page 133 of The Warrior of the Light. The warrior knows that the most important words in all the languages are the small words. Yes, love, God. They are words that are easy enough to say and which fill vast empty spaces. There is, however, one word, another small word that many people have great difficulty saying. No. Someone who never says no thinks of himself as generous, understanding, polite, because no is thought of as being nasty, selfish, and unspiritual. The warrior does not fall into this trap. There are times when in saying yes to others, he is actually saying no to himself. That's why he never says yes with his lips if in his heart he is saying no. And I think that's a very important one, you know. I mean, it's very important that we understand how we help ourselves and others in the world. We can help ourselves by saying the things that are good for us, or we could hurt ourselves by saying things that are bad for us. And our interactions with others at all moments allow us an opportunity to treat ourselves well and treat others well. And so if we really pay attention to the words we're saying, we find that all words do have value if they're used in their proper way. And the proper way is just truthfulness, to get past all the lies and the nonsense that's out there that blocks what's going on with ourselves, so that we can be honest about really what energy is flowing through us. All right, and finally that brings us to our meditation for today. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now let us find that place within ourselves, that quiet, calm place that resides in each one of us. And as you find it there, just feel the peace that exists. And from this place, be aware of the knowing that all is well, that all things will turn out okay. for they are already made perfect in eyes of the great Creator. And from this place, understand the spark of light that shines bright within you. And as you understand this spark of light within you, take a moment to contemplate how this spark of light exists in everyone. But in order to find this light, we must go inside. We must enter the cave of our own being. And as we travel deep into that cave, we find, as we are seeing now, this light shining bright. So let's imagine this light expanding from being a small spark within ourselves to completely illuminating and filling our entire body. And imagine your whole body now glowing with this light. And as the light is glowing and your being is glowing, imagine the world around you becoming filled with light. And the darkness dissipates. And imagine now a world of darkness. And there you are in this world of darkness as one single solitary light. And as you are there shining forth this light, you begin to see other lights also shining. Some further in the distance, some very close. And one by one, lights begin to turn on as people begin to feel and follow the example of all of those who are shining their light. And as these lights are illuminated, one by one, the darkness begins to dissipate until finally there is no darkness left. Simply the light shining bright. And in this lightness we see who we are. We understand the truth of our connection to God. We take a moment to honor the divine spark available to all of us. Heavenly Mother and Father, thank you for this light of life that shines bright within us this day and always. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to shine this bright light into life, to expand this wisdom, this illumination, this truthfulness into the world, that all may see through the darkness, that all may see past through the illusions, and that we may understand our place in this great expanse of all that is, was, and ever shall be. And let's just imagine as we go into the world today that we shine this light simply and silently, just by letting it shine. Let's imagine and allow the subconscious mind to continue on this journey of shining out light and extend that to the conscious mind as well. So let the subconscious continue on its journey. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is the show to get this week started. I am here now, so I will be here throughout the rest of this year. And we will continue on tomorrow. We're going to continue on with the Psalms. We're going to continue on focusing on all the positivity that's available to us. Because at this point, that's really all that matters. And if we truly are at these end times, then we're going to make sure that we go out and end these times in goodness and godliness and divinity, because that is what shines through us and is wanting to experience and express itself into the world. So that when these end times finally close, we'll be moving into the new times with this light and this love and this wisdom as an example for all of the world to do exactly the same. We have it in us, within us, my friends. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and it's now time for all of us to awaken. Awaken to who we are and let go of all of the illusion of what this material world wants to try to tell us is really, because there's a difference, a big difference. Have a great day, my friends. Happy Hanukkah. To all of those who are celebrating Hanukkah, the returning of the light, have an awesome day. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.